Recent cases involving missing or dead scientists who may have access to confidential information.
This week, the FBI announced that it is now investigating a string of mysterious deaths and disappearances involving top U.S. scientists over the past several years.
Hostile foreign intelligence services have targeted them.
The list of scientists with ties to America's space and nuclear secrets who have mysteriously died or disappeared grows to 11.
1, an isolated incident. 2, a coincidence. 3 or more, a pattern. We have 11.
Something sinister is taking place here.
Some had reported ties to the UAP community.
Whether a series of deaths and disappearances among scientists with high-level security clearances are linked.
There are some that have been unsolved murders. Others have been tragic accidents that may or may not be accidents.
The concern isn't just who's missing, it's what they knew.
Just because somebody departs the government doesn't mean that they leave their knowledge like luggage back with the government. That knowledge goes with them.
If you see any report that I killed myself, I didn't.
It's very unlikely that this is a coincidence.
On Friday, February 27th, 2026, Major General William Neil McCasland left his home in Albuquerque, New Mexico, never to be seen again. When his wife got home from a doctor's appointment only an hour later, she walked in to find her house empty and her husband's prescription glasses and cell phone left behind. After searching through the rest of the house, she realized her husband's wallet, hiking boots, and his .38 caliber revolver were all missing. When word of McCasland's mysterious disappearance hit local news the next day, it didn't take long for regular citizens to begin noticing a pattern. McCasland is one of 11 scientists with top secret clearance to go missing or die under eerily similar circumstances over the last 4 years. As the story continues to develop, investigators and journalists are making connections to even more missing and deceased scientists. At the time of recording, the number of related cases is thought to be as high as 20. On today's episode of Let's Get Haunted, we'll be looking into the circumstances surrounding these unsolved deaths and disappearances and dissecting the top theories on exactly who or what wants our nation's brightest minds eliminated.
Welcome back to Let's Get Haunted
with your hosts,
Nat Strawn
and Allie. Before we begin today's episode, please be advised that this week's topic contains discussions of violence, murder, suicide, and death. Please take care while listening and feel free to pause or skip this episode if these topics may be distressing to you. If you or someone you know is struggling with their mental health or experiencing thoughts of self-harm, help is available. In the United States and Canada, you can call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Additional mental health resources and support information can be found in our show notes. Welcome back, Haunties, to episode 259 of Let's Get Haunted. We are your hosts, Allie and Nat, and we are here every single Wednesday making sure that you get absolutely haunted, absolutely indoctrinated into the world of the macabre, the mysterious, the unsolved and unknown. And we are so excited to be back with you today to cover a developing story that's kind of taken over social media by storm. Nat, have you heard anything about this story yet?
That little video you just played, did everyone see that, or was I the only person who saw that?
No, everybody sees it. Yeah, everybody
Okay,
sees
good.
it.
Just checking you're not just trying to fucking put me in a padded room before we start. You just are playing things that have nothing to do with anything just to fuck with me. No, that little video we just saw was crazy. I feel like I'm about to walk into a sci-fi movie or something. I'm on the edge of my seat. Is this a Nick Cage movie I'm about to watch?
Basically, this story is currently developing. A lot of the missing persons cases that we're talking about today are still unsolved. We have not yet found these people. And there's also some deaths that we're going to talk about today that are either still unsolved exactly how it happened or they are disputed. For example, in some of the cases, people think it was just a tragic accident, but maybe some members of the victim's family disagree with that. There's also also some alleged suicides. But if we look at text messages that the victim sent prior to that suicide being carried out, they had sent some text saying, if someone tells you, if you hear that I killed myself, just know that that didn't happen. And I'm kind of coming away from this story not sure what to think. For those of you unfamiliar with our show, we typically take the believer perspective with any topic that we're covering because we just think it's more interesting to do that. It's more fun to kind of live in that believer side of the spectrum. But for these, if this is true, and if this pattern is real and not just a coincidence, it has implications that I think are very scary. So we'll be talking about all of the theory options today, but I don't know. Do you kind of know what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, no, I get it. My mind's going all over the place. At first, I'm thinking like, okay, if her husband, the person you were talking about, left and he brought his gun with him, kind of seems like it could be a suicide, you know? Or was he in some sort of shootout with the feds or something? I don't know. But then part of me is also just like, cannot fathom one piece of information that is important enough to me that I would kill someone else in order to get it. Who gives a fuck? That's where I'm at in life. I don't give a fuck what happens to us anymore. Okay? The way the media has been for the last 10 years, 8 years, whatever it's been, I don't care anymore if we all like get roasted by aliens or whatever happens. Like, uncover the Epstein files. I can handle it. I can't imagine a situation where in 2026 where you would need to fucking kill someone because what they know would destroy anything. There's nothing left to destroy. That's how I feel.
You bring up a really good point, though. I know you and I have talked about this before, but I'm not sure if we've talked about it on our show or not yet. Unfortunately, after the public became aware of Epstein, and we've had this kind of slow trickle of declassified documents, even if they are heavily redacted, coming out, and interviews with different witnesses or victims to his crimes, it's like that the worst thing you could possibly imagine our government being complicit in domestically, like at home, has been proven true. And so it kind of results in exactly what you're talking about, which is you can't even care about it anymore because it's just like, yeah, I mean, if tomorrow you told me that Donald Trump was actually a alien in a human skin suit, I would be like, okay, checks out, makes sense. What's for breakfast? Like, it is crazy. It's when you're bombarded by so much horrific shit day in and day out, it's like you become numb. I'm kind of leaving conclusions about this open-ended today because I think for my own mental health, I cannot go too far down this rabbit hole. Like I said, this is a developing story, but as of right now, the main cases being talked about in the news are those of 5 people who have mysteriously vanished and have not yet been found, and about 8 deaths that appear to some people to be suspicious, including a couple of people that were murdered, a person who was found face down in a body of water, and a car explosion. So, Nat, are you ready to get into this week's episode?
I'm so ready. I'm already on the edge of my seat. Let's go. Let's buckle up.
Let's Get Haunted is teaming up with GOODR, makers of active eyewear for anyone. Whether you're running from the government, riding on a spaceship, or brunching with Baba Yaga, GOODR sunglasses won't slip or bounce. When the market became oversaturated with over-engineered sunglasses, GOODR created eyewear that's fashionable, affordable, and all performance without the BS. I work outdoors, so polarized sunglasses with UV 400 protection are a must. Nat rides horses, so you know she's bouncing around like a maniac, and needs GOODR's no bounce, no slip frames. Constructed with a special grip-coated material to eliminate slippage when sweating, and a snug, lightweight fit that prevents bouncing as she's crushing jumping over those horse jumps. Guys, I don't know what those horse jumps are called. GOODR has so many fun colors to choose from, and they're versatile as fuck. With everything from demure frames for elevated looks, to funky frames for traveling back to the future with Skinny Bob. Bottom line, hot bitches love GOODR because they're stylish, affordable, versatile, good quality, and fun. Ready to upgrade your eyewear to something functional, fashionable, fun, and affordable? Head to goodr.com/haunted to claim $10 off your first order. That's GOODR.com/haunted. And now back to your regularly scheduled haunting. Part 1, the disappearances. Before we get started, I have 2 quick disclaimers to make. First, there's been a lot of debate about whether or not all of these cases are connected, only some of them are connected, or none of them are connected. After researching this story, I personally think that there is enough evidence to suggest that at least some of these deaths and disappearances may be connected. And even if you, the listener, don't believe they are, I still think it's important to listen to all of the evidence surrounding these deaths and disappearances because everyone's family deserves closure, and in the case of the missing individuals, everyone deserves to be found. My second disclaimer is that although this case has come to be known as the case of the missing and murdered scientists, as we go through each individual, you may notice that not everyone on the list is actually a scientist. Some are scientists, some are engineers, physicists, and professors, while others work in fields like construction, the military, security, consulting, and administration. However, even though the individuals discussed today have varied career paths, what connects them is their employment history, as many of these people worked for the same employers. Finally, I would just like to add that this week's episode has lots of supplementary material, including news clips, interview clips, and photos. If you would like to watch the video version instead of listen to the audio-only version, you can head over to Spotify. And if you have a Spotify premium subscription, you will get no ads. And with all that out of the way, let's get started with our first disappearance, which is that of Monica Reza. Monica Jacinto Reza is a 60-year-old American metallurgist and materials engineer who co-invented something called Mandalloy in the 1990s. Monica is kind of a badass. She is an aerospace engineer known for her work in rocket propulsion technology. After earning degrees in metallurgical and materials engineering from Columbia University and University of California, Los Angeles, she built a career at companies including Rocketdyne and later NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Reza, whose last name is also sometimes pronounced Reza in different news reportings, became widely respected in the aerospace field after co-developing Mandalloy, a specialized nickel-based superalloy designed to withstand the extreme temperatures and oxygen-rich environments inside rocket engines. Over the course of her career, she received multiple patents and industry recognition for her contributions to aerospace engineering and materials science. On the morning of June 22, 2025, Reza disappeared while hiking in the Mount Waterman area of the Angeles National Forest. According to reports, she had been hiking with 2 companions from a yoga group when the group became separated along the trail. One hiking partner reportedly stopped partway through the climb and turned back around, while Reza continued ahead with the other companion. Witness accounts later claimed she was last seen roughly 30 feet behind her friend before suddenly vanishing without explanation. And she went missing under kind of strange circumstances. She was hiking with a friend, and he said that she was about 30 feet behind him, and he had turned around. They were on a well-traveled hiking path. He turned around, made eye contact with her, asked if she was all right. She said, "Oh yeah, just a little slow today," or something like that. And then she waved at him, and he turned around and kept walking. And then a minute or 2 later, he turned back around to check on her again, and she was completely gone.
To developing news tonight, the search is on for a 60-year-old woman missing in the Angeles National Forest. Monica Reza was last seen near Mount Waterman yesterday at about 9 a.m.
Well, the LA County Sheriff Department's Crescenta Valley Station and Montrose Search and Rescue have been working around the clock on this one. They say Air Rescue 5 and search and rescue teams from LA, San Diego, Ventura, Riverside, and soon Orange and San Bernardino counties are all out searching.
Like she evaporated?
Basically. And the search is still ongoing. No trace of her has been found. No piece of clothing, no backpack.
Okay, this is a paranormal podcast, guys. So tell me what I am to believe here. Is the idea that she went missing in the forest? Like she got lost or like fell in a hole or something? Or are you fucking telling me a portal opened and she was zapped away? Was she dragged to hell by a demon? Was it her time? Like, what do you mean she just disappeared? She evaporated into thin air? She spontaneously combusted. I have over 7 seasons of this podcast in my brain. Okay, guys, I'm gonna need someone to hold my hand and tell me what I'm supposed to believe right now.
Yeah, it is. It's super weird. And so this is kind of the first disappearance that people cite when they talk about this because it is so strange. She's a well-known hiker. In fact, the picture of her that's kind of out in the media, there's one of her on a hiking trail. There's one of her at work in a lab coat. And those are the two main photos of her circulating right now. I can tell you objectively just looking at the photos of her, you can tell she's a very active person. She's in shape. She's clearly very intelligent. I mean, you don't get to be a director of materials processing at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory unless you're an extremely smart person. And so it is strange because in the span of just a couple of minutes of being on a trail that she had hiked multiple times before with a friend, never had a problem. This is not like you're in the back country of Alaska where there are grizzly bears and there's no trail and it would be very easy to get lost. People don't know what to make of this. And because we don't have any other information, we're just kind of left with nothing.
Angeles National Forest. I'm trying to think, is that like, have I been there? Because I was wondering, okay, well, maybe if it's in a place where there's like mountain lions, like it's very rare. But if she is hiking a lot and she's in an area with them, maybe.
I mean, it's definitely possible.
But then there would be prints. There would be tracks. Like there would be traces of it. There would be blood. There would be something.
And she would have probably screamed, and she wasn't far enough away for her companion to have not heard some sort of struggle or distress call. The Angeles National Forest is located in the San Gabriel Mountains and Sierra Pelona Mountains, which is within Los Angeles County. And I'll send you a map real quick, just not that it matters, I guess, but just so you can see where it is.
We got a map, you guys. We got a map. Take a shot. Allie brought out a map.
If you're new to the show, I like maps. Don't know why. And I don't care to find out why. I just know that they do something to me. They do something in my brain where suddenly every story makes sense to me.
Yeah, I have run a Tough Mudder race in this forest before. If it was somewhere like we talked about in the Swiss Alps, where there's just holes everywhere that you can fall into, or in a giant Christmas worm comes and gets you or something, then it would make more sense. But this is just not checking out. Is there a cannibal in the woods?
You got walkers all around you. They're in the woods.
Like I'm saying, with this podcast, there are so many options of what could have happened that it could literally drive you insane.
It really could. And what is interesting about the Angeles National Forest is Natalia and I met when we were both living in Los Angeles, attending the same college. We've lived in Los Angeles. We have visited a lot of the major parks and forests in Los Angeles County. Mm-hmm. And usually when we cover strange forest stories, there's some sort of paranormal lore associated with it. But I'm telling you, there is nothing less paranormal than the Angeles National Forest. It is mostly dry. We have drought problems in California, especially in Southern California. It's constantly catching on fire, and so it's just strange that you could go missing from such a well-traveled, well-mapped, well-documented section of a national forest. And so it doesn't seem as likely, of course anything's possible, but it does not seem as likely that you could easily go missing here as opposed to maybe some places where there's no cell service. Like I just got back from Redwood National Forest earlier this year, and I could definitely see how you could go missing there. It's huge. There's no cell service. It does not have a lot of people in it. There's like these crazy cliffs that you can fall off of. But Angeles National Forest, I mean, it is sort of surprising to go missing there.
The only thing I can think of is I remember one time, I think I went camping in that forest area, car camping, and I was in college, and I was with my boyfriend at the time, and there were like people car camping there, and they were like kind of partying, it's like music was out. This was the time of Four Locos because I'm old, and so people went loco. But the Four Locos are gone now, so I feel like there couldn't be that many shenanigans.
And some people have said, well, maybe she had to walk off the trail to go pee and then got lost.
She's a grown hiking woman. You go pee, you get lost, and then what? Let's say you get totally fucked, Okay, let's say you try to fuck yourself and get lost in the forest. People would still be able to find you just based on your tracks.
Yes, and we're going to be approaching a year of her being missing because this happened in June 22nd of 2025. We are currently in May of 2026, so June's coming up. And so it is strange that no trace of her would be found if it was just a simple, oh, I went off the trail to pee and maybe I twisted my ankle, or a mountain lion got me, or a rattlesnake bit me, or I got turned around. It just seems unlikely that she wouldn't have at least been able to make a phone call or something. You know what I mean? At some point.
Maybe it's a conspiracy. Like, maybe her friend that was with her, she was like, hey, these people are after me. They're gonna fucking kill me because I know about the aliens. Then her friend was like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to Angeles National Forest and I'll, make sure it's documented. Yeah, that you were out hiking and then all of a sudden disappeared and now no one can find you. Maybe it's like a faked death situation.
It definitely could be. I mean, like I said, at the end, we'll talk about the theories for this entire group of people in general. But for this one in particular, I've seen everything possible proposed online. And for the skeptic theories, there are some people who think maybe her friend allegedly did something to her so that she wouldn't be found. And he's just saying, oh, I was in front of her. Again, I don't even want to put that out there because I can't imagine if like you and I were walking in the forest and I was trailing behind you and then suddenly you turned around and I was gone. Wouldn't that be the worst thing in the world if the news is like, well, maybe this person murdered her, and you're like, what the fuck? I literally, like, a beam of light shot down from heaven and pulled her into the ether, so I can't even explain what happened, but I know I didn't carry out the murder. But that's something I've seen proposed online. I've also seen people say she was an experienced hiker. If she went missing, it's because she wanted to go missing for whatever reason. And then other people saying, well, strange things happen in the woods. Sometimes even experienced people get turned around. Maybe she ended up walking away from the trail so far that by the time she realized she was going the wrong direction, it was too late. Maybe she fell. Maybe an animal got to her after she got turned around. I just sent you a YouTube link that I would like you to click on, and I just want you to describe the environment that she went missing in to anyone who's listening to the audio only version of our show.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand by what I said just based off of the way this video is showing Angeles National Forest. It's exactly how I remember. Fucking dry as fuck. The trees are sparse, okay? Like, when you guys think of a forest, I feel like people think of like lush, and like trees packed together, the canopy. The trees are knit. That's what people always say about a forest. The trees are knit together. These trees are not knit. This is like a crochet with a very loose needle and an inexperienced crochet master. I guess they wouldn't be a master if they were inexperienced. You know what I mean. The person who's crocheting doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. And it kind of looks like someone's armpit. That's what the tree dispersion is. The density of the trees is sparse. It's patchy. This is not the kind of forest that I think someone goes missing in. And I remember this because of that Tough Mudder thing that I had to do there and the time that I went car camping there. It's like dirty, rocky, dusty everywhere. It's not like rich soil, It's like pebbles that move and you're like coated in dust and you have like dust all over your ears and in your nostrils and stuff when you leave. It's kind of like what a chinchilla uses to bathe itself in. That is, there's like a silt. There's like a fine silt on top of everything. And it's all pine too, I think. Or if it's not pine, it's like some sort of other deciduous tree. Everything about it is like stale and scratchy. Just the thought of how fucking dusty it is just irritates the shit out of me. I would hate to get lost there. God forbid. If you got lost there, fucking nightmare. I might actually kill myself in the forest if I was lost there, just because the thought of the dust going under my fingernails for that.
I know exactly what you're talking about, though, because, okay, so that footage you just watched, that is the day after she went missing. So that's literally exactly the environment that she went missing in. And again, for those of you who have better national forests than we do in Los Angeles, this is not, I'm going to say something controversial. I apologize, everyone. It's not that pretty. our national forests are like not that beautiful because we're constantly in drought. So
And
yeah,
pollution.
it's dry, it's dusty, it's rocky. Sure, you can find beauty in anything, but if I'm going to go to a national forest, I'm going to go to the redwoods. I'm going to take a flight.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a long drive. I'm going to go up north to
Yosemite.
Northern California.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking around in our Death Valley down here, and I'm not fucking around in Angeles National Forest. Okay, so now moving on to the next person. The next person to go missing actually went missing only 4 days after Monica went missing, and that is Melissa Casias. She's 53 years old. She worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory. She disappeared on June 26th, 2025. She dropped her husband off that morning at the lab because he also worked for the same employer, and she reportedly intended to work remotely because she had forgotten her employee badge that day, she said. So she's driving her and her husband to the lab, and as she parks, she's like, oh my God, I forgot my badge. Well, that's okay because I have a flexible work schedule. I can work from home, and this is true. You can work from home, I guess, for Los Alamos National Laboratory. So she drops her husband off. She goes back home to work. She was last seen around 2:15 p.m. the same day, walking down a highway near the city of Talpa, about 3 miles south of the family's Taos home in New Mexico. When her daughter came home from school around 3:30 p.m., she found Casias's car parked outside and her wallet, keys, her work phone, and her personal phone inside the home. Both phones had been reset to their factory status.
It's been nearly a month since anyone has seen Melissa Casias. Her stepdaughter says a doorbell camera showed Casias walking a couple miles away with a backpack, and she was last seen walking on a highway in Taos County about a month ago. It was June 26th. A family friend even saw her walking along the highway. He turned around to see if she needed help, but then all he saw was a blue truck driving by. No Casias. Her family thinks she got into that truck. Her family says her personal belongings are all still at home, including her phone, which had been factory reset.
Really wasn't dressed for the mountains, and I mean, she has the gear, so, you know, she would have definitely taken something like that.
Her parents and sister say they're offering a $5,000 reward for tips. Crime Stoppers is offering $2,500. If you know anything about where she is, call state police.
Okay, that feels very intentional.
Melissa is also an experienced outdoorsman. A lot of the photos of her circulating in the media, because she is still a missing person right now and they are still trying to find her, show her hunting, fishing, hiking. There's even a photo of her with like a deer that she had hunted. So this is a very experienced person.
Dude, this is a Liam Neeson. That woman is out there living in the wild. Did these two women who went missing, did they know each other? Like, did they have proximity to each other?
As far as we know, at least at this point in the story, they did not know each other. One worked in Los Angeles at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and one worked in New Mexico at Los Alamos National Laboratory. But some of the news clips I have seen, there are people with far more education than I have that are commenting about these disappearances, and they say that this community is small. Like, if you work at one of these renowned laboratories, you probably are attending similar conferences. Maybe you're on different Zoom calls. You know what I'm talking about? Where there is some overlap with the type of things they study. But as far as we can tell, we can't make a direct connection between these two women. But I just sent you a news clip.
What happened to Melissa Casias? Casias, an employee at Los Alamos National Laboratory, went missing on June 26th. According to her family, they say she forgot to bring her badge to work that day and decided to work the rest of the day from home. Casias went missing after taking lunch to her teenage daughter at a cafe in Taos Plaza. Her disappearance spurring a large-scale search and rescue operation. News 13 spoke to Casias' niece, who says they are desperate for answers.
We're now over 7 weeks in. The police are still taking this very seriously. They're still investigating. They're still looking for her. You know, the state police have her listed as missing, endangered. So that means that there's enough reason to believe that she is or was in danger, and the police are still on it. And no suspects have been cleared.
Casias was last seen near Talpa, just southeast of Ranchos de Taos. Her family says all of her belongings, like her wallet, keys, and valuables, were all left inside of her home. Her work and personal phone were also found inside of the home, but reset to manufacturer settings. News 13 did reach out to New Mexico State Police, and they said they will continue to explore new leads and encourage people to come forward with any information related to this case. State police have not been able to confirm foul play or if Casias left on her own. The family is offering a cash reward for any information that leads to Casias' safe return.
Wow. Did you see the comments under it?
No. Do you want to read me the top comments?
Yeah. So someone said, went to Taos for lunch? That's an hour-and-a-half drive one way. I think the daughter knows the full story. You wouldn't drive all that way unless you had information or valuables to exchange. And then someone else said, they issue temp badges when you forget yours. Taos is very far away and she dropped her husband off first, then left him and went all the way back because of the badge? Nope. She had other plans. Someone else said, it's not mysterious at all. There were things going on in her life. Someone else said, CCP, in my opinion. She's probably working in an underground bunker, someone else said. I don't know if that's like, I don't know if that's a reference to Breaking Bad or not, or...
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. So far, look, let's not spin off the rails yet, but so far we have 2 disappearances.
Too late.
Yeah, right. But so far we have 2 disappearances from 2 women with a history of being outdoorsy, working at important laboratories that conduct research into aerospace, nuclear research, jet propulsion, and they both disappeared under very bizarre circumstances.
Spies. I'm sorry, but like that video I just watched where they were showing like just her photos they're gonna show on the news. She's like she's holding like a moose's antler or something and like a bullet. Like she looks fucking invincible. That to me is a secret agent. Works in a fucking jet lab or whatever that was. Knows how to survive off the land. Had 2 phones, reset to factory settings. What?
Very, very bizarre for sure. The skeptic perspective, again, a lot of people think this is a woman who planned to go missing. Whether that was to harm herself, or if it was to start a new life elsewhere, or some other secret third reason we don't know about. But a lot of the people who have commented on this case say it seems like this is the case of a woman who planned her own disappearance. And a lot of people think that same thing about Monica Reza. I just got my engagement photos back and my hair looks incredible in these shots, thanks to BLISSY. I didn't realize a pillowcase could help prevent frizz and sleep creases until I switched my pillowcase to one of BLISSY's 22 Mom 6A grade 100% pure mulberry silk pillowcases. Silk is natural, cooling, gentle on skin and hair. It reduces frizz, breakage, and preserves hair color and style for longer. I now even travel with a BLISSY and put it on my hotel pillows because there's no way I'm going back to my peasant life before I got educated on the benefits of silk. So sleep on a BLISSY, but don't sleep on this deal. Was that good, guys? I just came up with that. Because you're a listener, BLISSY is offering 60 nights risk-free plus an additional 30% off when you shop at blissy.com/LGHpod. That's BLISSY.com/LGHpod and use code LGHpod to get an additional 30% off. Your skin and hair will thank you. So now let's move on to number 3 on this list, Steven Garcia. Steven Garcia is 48 years old. He's a government contractor with security clearance. He disappeared on August 28th, 2025, which is 1 month and 2 days after Melissa Casias went missing. And he left his home in Albuquerque, New Mexico on foot, reportedly taking a handgun with him. And he left behind his phone, keys, and wallet. And he was captured on a Ring camera of one of his neighbors, which is what I've just sent you right now. And it shows him wearing hiking shoes, a water bottle, and a handgun. Do you want to describe this picture to our audio-only listeners?
Yeah, so this is a very kind of like pixelated photo that looks like it was taken from a Ring camera. And it is of a sidewalk with a man. I cannot tell because there is nothing to compare him against, but just looking from this photo of him, he looks like a big guy. He doesn't look short to me. He looks tall. He looks big. He's got weight on him as well, meaning to say, like, he doesn't look like a weak person. And he's got his head shaved. It looks like he's wearing glasses. He's looking down. And yeah, he's wearing jorts, perhaps, cargo shorts, a t-shirt, and yeah, athletic shoes.
Yeah,
he doesn't look like full hiking like the other girls were, like head to toe REI. Like, I can actually make a tent out of my jacket if I need to. I have a fucking paracord bracelet. Like, they seemed outdoorsy. You know when you meet people and you're like, hey, does anyone have a knife? And they're like, yeah, and they just like have a knife on them. Those women looked like that. This guy looks like, yeah,
a casual, maybe a guy that just casually hikes or casually goes on walks, but not necessarily an outdoorsman, maybe, is what I'm hearing.
Right.
He, like I said, was a government security contractor who disappeared from Albuquerque, New Mexico in August of 2025. He worked at a place called Kansas City National Security Campus, which is located in Albuquerque, and it manufactures non-nuclear components for U.S. nuclear weapons. So again, we've got another strange connection with nuclear weapons working to advance our military industrial complex. And again, on this photo, you can see it's strange to go on a walk or a hike and only take a water bottle and a gun. And he apparently, and it's so hard to tell from this grainy Ring camera still frame, but apparently he has the handgun in his hand. It's so, that's so strange to imagine just walking down the street with a gun and a water bottle, leaving behind your phone, keys, and wallet. So we're starting to see a little bit of a pattern here, right? Now let's move on to the next individual, Anthony Chavez. And he also worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory, which is the same place that Melissa Casias worked at. He went missing about 1 to 2 months before she did. He disappeared on May 8th, 2025 from his home in Los Alamos. He's 78 years old and had worked as a construction foreman at Los Alamos National Laboratory. A friend's Facebook post claimed that Chavez left his home on foot, wearing walking or hiking shoes. He left behind his wallet, keys, and phone.
I'm starting to wonder if all of these people were propositioned by someone to meet in the woods.
Hold on to that thought, because that's definitely something we're going to be talking about at the end, because during my research into this topic, it seems like this is not the first time something like this has happened throughout world history. There seem to be some parallels with maybe some cases that have happened in other countries, and we're definitely going to be diving into those. So if someone is listening right now and considering clicking away, do not, because there is some crazy shit coming up. Now let's talk about our last missing person, William Neil McCasland. He is a 68-year-old retired Air Force general who had been involved in aerospace research throughout his career. He disappeared on February 27th, 2026 from his home in Albuquerque. He left behind his phone and prescription glasses, but took his wallet and a handgun with him. Major General William Neil McCasland, who just goes by Neil, is the commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. He is responsible for managing the Air Force's $2.2 billion science and technology program, as well as additional customer-funded research and development of $2.2 billion. He is also responsible for a global workforce of approximately 10,800 people in the laboratory's component technology directorates. According to his Wikipedia, he had retired, but he was still working as a consultant for a lot of different special projects. This is very interesting because there's currently a Facebook group that his wife is in called Find Neil McCasland, and a lot of people have been wondering if his disappearance has something to do with what he might know about UFOs. And she left a comment in response that I thought was sort of strange. And I'm paraphrasing here. I'll throw up the exact quote on the screen. I don't have it in front of me. But it basically said, oh, I know a lot of people are speculating that because he worked at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, he has a lot of knowledge about UFOs. However, he does not have any personal information about the alien bodies that were brought to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base after the Roswell crash. And a lot of people were looking at it and they're like, wait, did she mean to say that?
She's definitely telegraphing something. Like, I
right?
feel like that's her. I mean, you guys, I guess, look, here, to protect myself, I would never say this, but how crazy would it be if somebody made the connection that perhaps she's trying to speak about the reason he disappeared without incriminating herself? So it would be like me being like, hey, Allie, if you hear I went missing, it has nothing to do with me meeting someone who said they would buy me 100 horses and take me away to live on a horse farm. It definitely wouldn't be something like that if I go missing. You know, like, it would kind of seem like, well, it kind of seems like she ran away with someone who bought her a horse farm with a bunch of horses.
Yeah, or like if somebody were saying, oh, Jeffrey Epstein went missing, well, it has nothing to do with the women he was sex trafficking to his island. And you're like, wait a minute, so you're admitting that that's what he was doing? It's a little...
It seems sarcastic.
It is a little strange, at least the way it was worded, but maybe we can just chalk that up to this is a recent disappearance. I'm sure it's very upsetting to have your husband go missing, so maybe she just mistyped. But there's another kind of wrinkle in this disappearance. Natalia, do you remember in 2016 when WikiLeaks dumped something called the Podesta emails? Do you remember this at all? It's okay if you don't. The 2016 was 10 years ago. What were any of us doing then besides listening to Drake and playing Pokemon Go?
But I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I actually remember WikiLeaks. I didn't realize that there was more than one thing.
Dump. Yeah, docu-dump.
WikiLeaks posted more than 2,000 additional emails from Hillary Clinton's campaign chair, John Podesta. This is the hashtag Podesta file, I think, online. That makes more than 4,000 so far.
So in 2016, John Podesta, the former White House chief of staff, got his emails leaked on WikiLeaks. And this was a really, really big deal. I mean, his personal Gmail account is what got hacked, and he was talking about a lot of things that should not have been talked about via your private email. And so that's kind of why it was a scandal. You know, he's sending classified information on a non-secure server. If you work for the military or, you know, the government in general, you're supposed to use your encrypted government email in order to send and receive important information. He was using his personal Gmail account. It got hacked. A bunch of stuff got released. But how this relates to General Neil McCasland is John Podesta was actually in communication with Tom DeLonge, who people might know is the lead singer of Blink-182, and later he became interested in UFOs, and he started a program called To the Stars, which has the goal of helping UFO disclosure along. So one of his goals is to get the government to release the files they have about UFOs. He spends a lot of time talking to different scientists, talking to different military personnel, people who have personally witnessed UFOs, and he was sending emails to John Podesta. Now, there's an email from January 25th, 2016 that was in this leak, and it has to do with Neil McCasland. The email says, quote, Neil mentioned he's a skeptic. He's not. I've been working with him for 4 months. I just got done giving him a 4-hour presentation on my entire project a few weeks ago. Trust me, the advice has already been happening on how to do all of this. He just has to say that out loud, but he is very, very aware, as he was in charge of all the stuff. When Roswell crashed, they shipped it to the laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. General McCasland was in charge of that exact laboratory up until a couple of years ago. He not only knows what I'm trying to achieve, he helped assemble my advisory team. He's a very important man. Best, Tom DeLonge.
What? It was at the Air Force Base that the dude with the handgun walking from the Ring camera worked at?
So the Ring camera guy is Stephen Garcia. So William Neil McCasland, he went missing also from Albuquerque, which is probably why you're thinking of that.
Oh.
And he also left with his wallet and a handgun, and he also left behind his phone, but he is not the one who had the Ring camera footage released. However, something else got released very recently, and that is the 911 call reporting him missing that his wife made. So I'm going to go ahead and send you that video.
This is April. How may I help you?
Hi, April. My name is Susan Wilkerson. My husband is missing.
Okay.
And it's been about 3 hours, and I have some indication that He must have planned not to be found. He's left his phone. He changed his clothes into I don't know what. I think he's on foot. All of our cars and bicycles are in the garage. I left for a doctor's appointment at about 11:10, and he was here at that time at the house. And I got back from that at noon, and he was gone. He turned it off and left it behind, which seems kind of deliberate because he's always got his phone. He has a smartwatch. I don't know if that's with him or not.
Has he ever done this before?
Never. Nothing even remotely like it. He's a retired Air Force Major General. He's very responsible, but he's also facing some medical issues.
Do you have any video at your home?
No.
Has he been diagnosed with any mental disorders or anything like that?
Well, we've been seeing a doc for both physical and mental in terms of anxiety, short-term memory loss, lack of sleep. The same doc I went to see today.
Does he carry any weapons on him?
Well, not generally. He does have a gun safe, and I went to look in the gun safe to see if anything was missing, but I couldn't tell if anything was. He has quite a number of pistols and rifles. Other than saying if his brain and body keep deteriorating, he didn't want to live like that. But it seemed to me that was just a, man, I hate how this is going kind of thing, because I told him, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Okay. We're going to send some deputies up to talk to you, see if we can search a little bit and see what's going on, okay?
Sure. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
There's a comment on the screen that's basically, it's very long, so I'm going to paraphrase it, but they're saying, like, normally 911 would ask, what's the nature of your emergency? And they're going to ask you to verify your physical address and your phone number in case of disconnection for accuracy, but we don't hear that on this particular recording. The agent never asked for the husband's full name or details about his appearance. So people are, this person's insinuating that maybe it's fabricated, but I wonder if they just didn't want to dox him. Yeah, so they cut that part out. I don't know.
It did sound like there were some cuts made in the audio, and I don't know if that was done by the editor or the person that uploaded this video, or if that's the way it was released because of exactly what you said. Usually identifying information for ongoing cases gets cut out because they don't want people to be harassed. Yeah, or was this call made because his wife was given a script by somebody telling her what to say? I don't know. She's not the only person to have added their voice to the conversation via that Facebook group comment and then now this 911 call. Also, one of his former co-workers has given an interview. So I'm going to go ahead and send you that now.
So are America's elite scientists under attack, or is this all just some strange coincidence? I'm going to bring back the focus to McCasland's case in particular. Joining me now is a former co-worker and friend of his, Sherman McCorkle. Sherman, first of all, I'm so sorry to hear about your friend being missing. You worked with him, knew him for 25 years. What was he like to work with, and tell us about your relationship?
Well, I first met him in about 2002 when he came to Kirtland Air Force Base and ran the Space Vehicles Directorate on Kirtland. That's when I first met him. And our group, the Kirtland partnership, worked with him and the state legislature trying to enhance the Space Vehicles Directorate. He was extremely intelligent, very well educated. I believe he had like 6 degrees, 6 different degrees, very personable. Gosh, if there was a room full of people, everybody would gravitate toward him.
Yeah, what was your reaction to the Major General's wife saying that she thinks he may have gone out and not wanting to be found? What do you think happened?
So that came out last night or this morning, and I was stunned. For me, I'm just totally mystified. I have no understanding whatsoever how you can walk out your front door and vanish. And everybody that knows him is mystified. Everybody in our support group that worked with him, we're all just stunned and mystified, and nothing makes any sense.
We brought up these other cases around the country that also don't make any sense of people with similar backgrounds, similar work, similar degrees, similar work in the science industry for the federal government, for the military. Do you think that they maybe have anything in common? Is there talk of that among your friend group, given that this is, as you said, mystifying to you?
There hasn't been any talk of that. In this group group of 8, I believe, that you just showed us, most of us have not been familiar. We're familiar with 1 or 2 other people, but not the aggregate group of 8. The idea that research scientists, this group of 8, have vanished, my goodness, you couldn't make up a story like that, could you?
Yeah, I mean, it's happening, and it's strange that we don't have resolution on a number of them. Sherman McCorkle, we hope that they find your friend, and we're grateful that you joined us. Thank you very much.
So what's interesting about that interview is it sort of seems like he had just heard the 911 call and did not think it checked out. I don't know if you got that impression, but the reason why I wanted to play that is because it seemed like his friends that are in this support group he's talking about are just completely mystified and do not believe that he would purposefully disappear himself. Of course, who knows someone better than their wife? Hopefully your wife would know you best, and hopefully she would give all the information possible in order to find her husband. But again, this interview paired with a lot of people thinking that the 911 call sounds sort of scripted or unemotional makes people wonder, is this a 2-victim case? Is his wife being told to say something? Is a certain narrative being put out for a reason to hide something else?
Can I ask you a question? How long between him actually going missing and that her making the 911 call, do we know how much time had passed?
About 3 hours.
Oh, fuck, that's so scripted. That's fake as fuck. I'm sorry, if your husband does some weird shit and leaves his phone around, you're not reporting him missing after 3 hours. You're gonna be like, hey, he's cheating on me, for sure. 100%, I'm gonna go figure it out. Or he's lost, or something else has happened, but 3 hours? Maybe this is just me and my husband, but my husband could be gone for 12 hours and not texting in his phone. My husband could not even show up that night, and I would just be like, you know what? He's got his own life. Who am I? Who am I to get involved in whatever he's doing? I got my own shit going on, bro.
Yeah.
I'll see him when I see him. But I don't know. That, to me, 3 hours is what? That feels...
Look, I will say that
hours.
Currently, I'm in a relationship with a helicopter partner, so I think that if I went missing for 3 hours, I definitely think that my fiance would call 911. But in my previous relationship, I literally, one time, I went on a work trip, and I had told my partner at the time prior to leaving that I was gonna be on this overnight work trip, and I was gone for, I shit you not, 3 days before he texted me and was like, hey, are you coming home? And I was like, do you not remember that I told you I was going on this work retreat over the weekend? And he's like, no, I don't remember that. Sorry, I must have been doing something else. So yeah, I mean, it does just depend on the relationship, I guess. But I do agree that 3 hours seems quick. But again, we're not privy to all the details. I guess if he had previously said to her, hey, if I keep deteriorating in this way mentally, then I don't want to be here anymore. Maybe that is what prompted her to call after only 3 hours.
That's true, because she did say he was having short-term memory loss. And so, if this is the beginning of, a downhill descent into, Alzheimer's or something like that, 3 hours would be a long time.
Right, and it does seem from the 911 call, it seems like he doesn't have a diagnosis. This seems like a recent problem. But yeah, he's 68 years old. Would a 68-year-old, they could get early onset dementia, I suppose. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It is definitely a strange case. Now, I'm going to send you a YouTube short that News Nation put out. And the reason why so many of my sources, by the way, guys, is News Nation is simply because they're the ones that put out the most content about this type of stuff. They've really sort of embraced the UFO phenomenon, and they are a YouTube channel. So that's why most of the clips that I'm showing you currently are from News Nation. But as I tried to show and hopefully successfully showed during the beginning intro where I had all those clips spliced together, I tried to pick stuff from CNN, ABC, local news reports. Hopefully there's a good balance. But unfortunately, guys, it's News Nation that is the only place really getting the interviews. And so I'm going to go ahead and send you a YouTube short. And I say that because I know a lot of people don't like News Nation. Yeah.
Look, it's never going to be good enough. Anything we do for one person who's triggered and pissed off, it's never going to be enough. Nobody's making a fucking political statement, dude. We are a fucking paranormal podcast trying to make entertaining content, okay? We're choosing maps, we're choosing content, we're choosing all of that. Literally just which one gets us to the point of getting people haunted the most quickly. That's it.
Right.
That's the political statement. There is
I know.
none.
I already know I'm going to get hate from someone that's going to email us and be like, I can't believe you support WikiLeaks. They're traitors to our country. And then I'm also going to get someone being like, I find it very interesting that you chose Cuomo's news coverage when his brother is a sexual predator. And it's like, I don't know, guys. This is just what I found.
You guys, it fucking wrecks us because we are good people. We try really hard to not be fucked up. So even if there's just one comment that misunderstands our angle, it hurts our hearts. So can you not do it? Because it hurts me.
I know. Okay, I just sent it to you. And so this, before you push play, this is a YouTube short uploaded by News Nation, and it is highlighting some very eerie similarities between Monica Reza's disappearance and General McCasland's disappearance.
There are a lot of similarities and possible question marks that rise when you look at both of these missing person cases. So Monica Reza was somebody who went missing about 9 months ago last summer in the Los Angeles forest. The conditions of her disappearance are rather odd because she was hiking with a friend. That friend was about 30 feet in front of her on the trail. According to that friend, he had turned around, made eye contact with Monica. She smiled and waved and indicated that she was okay, and he continued on the hike. Moments later, he turned around, and Monica had essentially disappeared. She was nowhere to be seen. So he, rightfully so, alerted the authorities, and a full search and rescue effort was made to try to find her. To this day, she's never been found. Her body's never been found. Very suspicious because they were on a very popular trail in the Los Angeles forest. Just very weird. But obviously what connects this to the general is that they have a history and a past of working together. Monica Reza was an aerospace engineer who developed, invented, and patented a special type of metal that's used in rockets here in the United States. And the United States government funded that project, and that project was overseen by General McCasland. So now we have two very separate missing persons cases that have all happened within less than a year of each other. And these two people are known to have worked together on these very important United States government projects. So a very interesting twist to this story with the general being missing here in New Mexico and his former colleague missing about 700 miles away in the Los Angeles forest.
Does that seem suspicious to you?
Yeah, yes, hell yeah. You guys, I'm already in the padded room, okay? I've been in there. I've been in there for years. We don't have to get me riled up. I am there, all right?
I'm pretty riled up. So these are the 5 ongoing disappearances that have not been solved. And there does seem to be a lot of overlap between all 5 of these cases when it comes to where these people worked and the circumstances under which they went missing. But now we have to talk about the deaths. A good hair day can be the difference between wanting to throw your coworker Janice into the copy machine and just accepting that she sucks at her job, playing 432 hertz in your headphones while you do data entry, and ascending to the next dimension. Janice, you can heat your tuna fish melt up in the microwave. I don't even care, because NUTRAFOL makes me feel invincible. NUTRAFOL is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. NUTRAFOL's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested. Adding NUTRAFOL into your daily routine is so easy, there's really no reason not to do it. Simply order online and get it shipped straight to your door. You can either take them like pills or do what I do and empty them into my protein shake each day. Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster growing hair in 3 to 6 months with NUTRAFOL. For a limited time, NUTRAFOL is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit NUTRAFOL.com and enter promo code HAUNTED. That's NUTRAFOL.com, spelled NUTRAFOL.com, promo code HAUNTED. Part 2. The Deaths. And unfortunately for a lot of these deaths, these deceased scientists and military personnel who worked, again, at some of these same locations, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of details surrounding a lot of the deaths. None of them have been conclusively linked to these disappearances, but people are pointing out that this seems to be part of a larger pattern. So the first death that we have to talk about is Frank Maiwald. When he died, he was 61 years old. He was a JPL researcher. He died on July 4th, 2024 in Los Angeles. No cause of death was made public. However, officials confirmed that an autopsy was not performed, which is unusual because when you die prematurely, typically they want to find out how and why you died. He was a principal researcher at JPL, where he worked since 1999 on projects involving advanced satellite technology and instrument delivery. Then the next death we have to talk about is Michael Hicks. Michael David Hicks was 59 years old when he died. Again, a premature death. He died in Sunland, California, and he also worked at JPL. He worked there until the time of his death, and he specialized in the study of comets and asteroids. No cause of death has been made public with him either. And notably, he worked on major missions, including something called the DART project, or Double Asteroid Redirection Test, the Dawn mission, and the Near-Earth Asteroid Tracking Project. And a lot of the projects he was working on were, what do we do if a large asteroid is coming straight for us? How can we make sure that we can blow it up before it reaches us? Or how can we track them from far enough out to be able to do something about it? Then we have Nuno Loureiro. Nuno Loureiro was just 47 years old when he was murdered. He was a physicist at MIT, and he worked at the Plasma Science and Fusion Center as a scientist. He was fatally shot on December 15th, 2025 at his home near Boston. His killer is believed to have been the former classmate of his named Claudio Neves Valente, who shot 11 people at the end of last year. I'm sure a lot of people remember this story, this mass shooting. And he went into a Brown University lecture hall where he opened fire. And then around this same time at his home, Nuno Loureiro was assassinated. And they think it's the same person. They think that this mass shooter is probably the guy that murdered him. But it is weird because I kept trying to look up, are we for sure 100% sure that that's who did it? And I can't find a clear answer. Famously, again, a lot of people, because this is a recent mass shooting, may remember this individual. And Neves Valente's body was found later in a New Hampshire storage unit.
Ending a multi-state murder manhunt. Overnight, authorities closed in on a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire. The suspected Brown University gunman and suspected killer of an MIT professor found inside a storage unit, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
He was using a phone that was obfuscating ability to track it. He was sophisticated in hiding his tracks.
The alleged shooter, identified as Claudio Manuel Neves Valente. Brown says he was a physics PhD student at the university between 2000 and 2003 before he dropped out. School officials say he likely took classes in the same building where he allegedly opened fire last Saturday, killing 2 students and injuring 9 others. Police say he's also believed to have killed MIT professor Nuno Loureiro Monday night. Both were in the same school program back in their native Portugal. The key to breaking the case, according to a police affidavit, was interviewing an anonymous Reddit poster. 3 days ago, the person described seeing the suspect with a gray Nissan Sentra. Investigators tracked the car to a rental company in Boston where the suspect used his real name on the application. Authorities also discovered the suspect's storage unit in Salem, where his body was found.
Our work is not done. There are many questions that need to be answered.
Then we have the death of Carl Grillmair. He was just 67 years old when he passed away. He was an astrophysicist at California Institute of Technology. He frequently collaborated with NASA on various defense projects. He was fatally shot on February 16, 2026 at his home in Antelope Valley.
A man shot and killed 3 days ago at his home in the Antelope Valley community of Llano has been identified as Carl Grillmair. He was a Caltech scientist. Colleagues say the 67-year-old made groundbreaking discoveries in astronomy and will be greatly missed.
The suspect is not believed to have known Grillmair, is a 29-year-old man who had been arrested in December for trespassing on his property.
Shock and sadness on the campus of Caltech as colleagues mourn the loss of groundbreaking astrophysicist and astronomer Carl Grillmair. The 67-year-old killed Sunday in the Antelope Valley, in decades devoted to understanding the galaxies, studying the Milky Way, and making groundbreaking discoveries, helping scientists better understand our planet. According to the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, they responded early Monday morning to a shooting in the town of Llano, southeast of Palmdale. They say around the same time, reports of a carjacking eventually led them to the suspect accused of shooting Grillmair. Grillmair's work spans decades, degrees, and achievements. With specific breakthroughs in the study of stellar streams, he made numerous scientific discoveries. While at Caltech, he worked for the Spitzer Science Center, and in 2011 was awarded the NASA Exceptional Scientific Achievement Medal. And the suspect has been identified as 29-year-old Freddie Snyder. He's behind bars right now for carjacking and murder on a $2 million bond. We have reached out to the Sheriff's Department for more information on the circumstances leading up to this shooting.
So this is just a random murder in broad daylight that occurred at the home of this astrophysicist. Then we have the death of Jason Thomas. Jason Thomas was only 45 years old when he died. He was a chemical biology researcher at a biomedical company called Novartis. He was reported missing on December 13th, 2025 by his wife, who said he had walked away from their Wakefield, Massachusetts house the night before, leaving behind his phone, wallet, and Apple Watch.
His wife tells me he left without his wallet and cell phone and was last seen by these train tracks here in Wakefield, and now she's hoping to get help from the public.
We just want to know that he's safe because we don't know where he went. He literally vanished.
His body was later found in a lake in Wakefield on March 17th, 2026, floating face down, fully clothed. It is unknown how he got into the body of water, and his cause of death has not been released, so we're not sure if he drowned. We're not sure if he was killed and then placed there. We just don't know.
What appears the body of a Wakefield man missing since December has been found in a lake, Lake Quannapowitt. Jason Thomas left his home on December 12th and then never returned. This afternoon, a detective searching the area spotted what appeared to be a body in the water of the once frozen lake. The DA says the clothing suggests that it is Thomas. The medical examiner will determine an official identity and the cause of death, but no foul play is suspected right now.
Then we have Joshua LeBlanc. And Nat, I'm going to send you an article, again by News Nation, about this death.
It says, quote, "A NASA electrical engineer is among the latest individuals joining the baffling list of U.S. researchers who have died or gone missing under mysterious circumstances in the past half-decade. The body of 29-year-old Joshua LeBlanc was pulled from the burnt wreckage of his Tesla last July 22nd near Huntsville, Alabama, and identified days later by state forensic officials. LeBlanc's vehicle reportedly struck a guardrail and severed trees before it burst into flames. At the time of the crash, the family of LeBlanc, a native of New Iberia, Louisiana, had raised questions with News Nation affiliate KLFY TV. LeBlanc had been reported missing after failing to show up for work, and his phone, wallet, and pet dog were still at his apartment. Last summer, the family hoped video from LeBlanc's Tesla could help answer questions about what happened. At the time of his death, he worked on nuclear propulsion projects at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center as an aerospace technologies electrical engineer. The youngest researcher fits the profile of at least a dozen people with ties to the aerospace or defense industries who have met mysterious fates in recent years, either vanishing or dying in violent circumstances that some observers have contested. I will say the Tesla haters they love to just point out that Teslas fucking burn up all the time and you can't get people out of them. But also, if you were a nefarious individual with like elite hacking skills, you could also probably force a Tesla to blow up, I don't know, by planting a bomb on it or something, or like triggering the mechanism that like makes the battery start burning. It would be an easy way to cover up foul play, is to just have a Tesla burn up, because seems like a lot of them do.
Well, let's take it even one deeper, because we were just talking about WikiLeaks, right? Another document released by WikiLeaks appears to show that the CIA, at least at one time, was looking into technology to remotely take over the control systems of cars so that they could hack the cars of people they wanted to kill and make it look like a traffic accident. And the reason why I bring this up is because very recently, about 4 months ago, ex-CIA agent John Kiriakou, he gave a TV interview where he said the CIA already has this technology and has used it before.
There was a dramatic leak in 2017 that the CIA came to call the Vault 7 disclosures. Gigabytes worth of documents leaked by a CIA technology engineer. What he told us was that the CIA can intercept anything from anyone, number one. Number two, they can remotely take control of your car through the car's embedded computer. To do what? To make you drive off a bridge, into a tree, to make you kill yourself and make it look like an accident.
And so a lot of people are looking at this weird death and wondering if there could be more to the story. And his family, in fact, the family of Joshua LeBlanc, believes that there is something that happened here that caused him to go off the road. I don't think they've explicitly come out and said that they think the government hacked his car, but they have said they believe foul play is involved and that this was not an accident. And what makes this even more strange is that this individual, Joshua LeBlanc, he worked in Huntsville, Alabama. Well, the next person who we have to talk about also worked in Huntsville, Alabama, and that is Amy Eskridge. She was just 34 years old when she died, and she's the co-founder of the Institute for Exotic Science in Huntsville, Alabama, whose work included anti-gravity research. And this is important because a lot of these people, actually all of these people that we're talking about, if they weren't scientists, they at least worked at the facility where this type of research was being conducted. These are all people who can be tied to either nuclear weapons development or anti-gravity research. And anti-gravity research is thought to be directly linked to the UFO phenomenon, because if we do have crashed UFOs that we've been trying to reverse engineer, no time to explain if you're new to that conversation, then the way that people think they operate is via some sort of anti-gravity technology, because they can zoom off at a moment's notice, they can go straight up, straight down, hover in midair. We don't have that technology as far as we know. And Amy Eskridge, you can actually find lectures that she's given at different conferences online on YouTube where she's talking about how she's very close to cracking the code for this anti-gravity research that would be insane if it were to be made public, because that would totally change our relationship with energy. We wouldn't have to rely on oil and gas anymore. We wouldn't have to use cars. We wouldn't have to be beholden to gas prices, because we all rely on this type of energy to get around and live our lives. And so if we could come up with an alternate energy source, which a lot of these scientists were working on, that would now be a moot point, and we wouldn't have to have all of these wars, and we wouldn't have to worry about what gas prices are doing. But Amy Eskridge, she actually died, according to reports, on June 11th, 2022 by suicide. She has past ties to NASA, and her family has said that they do not believe that she is tied to this string of unsolved disappearances and deaths, or suspicious disappearances and deaths. But we have to bring her up, unfortunately, because of some text messages she sent before her body was found. I'm going to go ahead and send you this Reddit thread of text messages, and there are a ton to go through. We do not have time to go through all of them today, but if you can open up this Reddit link, I'd like you to read the first 2 slides on this Reddit thread, which was posted to r/UFOs by user straightjeriest.
Okay, so this is a screenshot, and it's, I actually know what this is. This is a screenshot from an app called Signal, and that's an app that you use that's encrypted to send messages. I know what this is because I used to be friends. Long story, guys, but basically I made friends in 2016 with like the biggest like weed meme page on Instagram. I was texting with them and they were telling me that like all of the that they sell fake followers to like Kylie Jenner and like all of these like major influencers or whatever. And I was like, really? And they were like, yeah, they're all fucking fake and we do it. I can't talk to you about this in the app. Like you need to download Signal if you want to talk to me about it more. And that's how I like learned all the information. Anyways, FYI, I've been getting death threats every day repeatedly for the past week or so for my most recent work. Like I finally crossed some line with my own independently developed theory and it got surveilled. It tipped me over onto some fucked up kill list. I left myself a voice note on my hacked phone about some super heady shit that I figured out. Then the daily death threats immediately started rolling in on a daily basis. The past week has been absolutely horrible. I don't even know how to explain it. The most heinous death threats you can imagine. I've been telling people the closest to me for the past few days. I absolutely did not kill myself no matter what you heard. I have told so many people over the past week that it's simply impossible to take them all out. God damn it. Everything that Bob Lazar said in a technical sense in the Corbell documentary was exactly 100% backwards. The ether theory I have developed over the past year explains why Bob was 100% backwards and fully explains how the EVO that he talked about actually works. I was thinking about it and left myself a voice note about it on my phone while driving home. It got surveilled and I am now dead meat. It's real bad. I got myself on a kill list by leaving myself a surveillable note on my own phone about the actual role of element 115 in the craft according to my ether theory. Oh my gosh, I have never been so scared in my life. I did not kill myself. Consulted with Bill and the retired general I've been working with. They both agree that the threats are not coming from any government. Threats are most likely coming from a private entity with a whole lot of cash who has hired some domestic mercenary goons to harass me to death. It's like the American version of the Wagner Group is on my ass right now for real bad. Pretty sure most of this shit this whole time that we've dealt with has been driven by private money from the contractors. God damn it, it's bad. How do you call the FBI and get them to investigate Lockheed or Northrop or Blackwater? You can't. Bad. It would be better for us if it was Russia this whole time. It wasn't Russia. The contractors, god damn it, not good. I did not kill myself no matter what you hear. Bob had it right. McCandlish's fatal mistake was that he did not tell anyone that he was under threat. Bob is alive because he told fucking everyone. I did not kill myself. I did not shoot myself in the head with my own firearm. I did not overdose on my prescription meds. I did not drive off a cliff. Like, even all the way back to the pain raise that we have both experienced for a while now. Oh my gosh, not a foreign nation state and not USG, the contractors. Private contractors hiring other private contractors to pain, ray, and or harass you to death, not for national security concerns, but to eliminate or disable potential competition for their multi-billion-dollar contracts. All this harassment we've experienced is just about money.
Basically, right now, she's texting as many colleagues as she can think of, telling them, hey, I made some progress with my anti-gravity work. I was thinking about it while I was driving, and I picked up my phone, and I made a voice note to myself. After I did that, I suddenly started receiving death threats on my phone. And then she says that she made contact with General McCasland and that he told her that she needs to be very careful because this is a known thing that happens to people who try to make breakthroughs in this area. And at least according to this text message that she shared, and remember, this is in 2022, so this is before he goes missing. He went missing this year. And she says, well, he told me that he doesn't think it's the US, he doesn't think it's Russia, he doesn't think it's China, he doesn't think it's another government. He thinks it's private contractors, defense contractors. They are trying to hide this technology because they want to keep receiving money from the US government to do this research. And if they have a breakthrough, they're not going to keep receiving money and their whole economy is going to fall apart. That's what she says. Do we agree with it? I don't know. Not the point, guys. Point is, these are the last text messages she sends before she, quote unquote, kills herself. And she goes on to say that she believes that she's being targeted by somebody who is pointing some sort of pain ray, is what she says, at her window, through the window, at her. And it sounds like, we can read between the lines here, some of the colleagues she's talking to say that they've experienced the same thing. And she's explaining to them that when it happens, you need to run outside, you need to see if anyone's on the street, take pictures of what's going on. And then she sends a photo. And this photo, to me, is scary. It freaked me out. I don't know if you zoomed in on it, but if you zoom in, you see a circle of like white frost that's directly in her line of sight, as if it's pointing directly at her. And then if you go to the slide after that, you can see that she's sent a picture of her hands. And in this text message, she says, "My hands look like red gloves. Burned the shit out of them 6 weeks ago while we were writing this bio-threat proposal for DHS for the NYC subway system, same project, at my friend's house who has the bio-threat detection tech. I thought I had a weird rash on my hands until I noticed my damn," and then it's blocked out, "on the window pane a few days later. I never would have known they were radiation burns if they had not accidentally vaporized my window blinds. You deserve to know they have seriously injured you with this shit. Doctors can try to tell me this is just dry skin, except for why is there a perfect x-ray image of my fucking head emblazoned on a window pane during the same time span? How does my dry skin or known PTSD diagnosis somehow magically emblazon a perfect image of my upper body on a window pane? Direct energy weapon use against civilians is currently being covered up super hard, including documents telling you that you are just plain wrong and referring you to psychiatry instead of treating your very obvious real physical symptoms. Yes, my hands bled right after this most recent attack." And she keeps going on and on and on.
I'm getting kind of annoyed with this person who's responding to her, because she's saying like all this shit, and then the person responding to her is just like, "Yikes-o-meter high for us both," after she sent like 10 text messages saying, "I didn't fucking kill myself. There's like a radiation machine. Look at my hands," like all of this. And then after she said the thing like, "Duke can use civilians, it's currently being covered up super hard," like da-da-da. He's just like, "Yeah, man, I don't know, but don't tell anyone I said these things, lol." Like, I feel like the person is like either not wanting to engage with her or like not taking her seriously or something.
There's two camps on Reddit to why these responses seem so weird when hers are so life or death intense. Half of the people on Reddit think that whoever she was sharing this information with thought she was crazy and thought that she was like, paranoid, imagining things, hallucinating, deteriorating mentally. And the other half think that they were so scared that somehow their Signal chat may have been hacked that they just weren't reacting to it.
Here's what I will say. I have a friend, a very good friend, I'm not going to talk to this person, so that's all I'm going to say, who suffers from some mental health issues. And when this particular person is going through an unbalanced time, this person might send me text messages that sound like that, and, you know, will send me pictures of like their pee in the toilet and be like, "Look, it used to not be this color. Someone's poisoning me. Someone's testing me," or whatever. And, you know, it's just like making all these connections, or like, "Have you listened to this song? And if you listened to this one, and then I looked up and saw that the writers are connected and they both live in the same city," and all that. And at that time, I'll usually just call someone I know who is like that person's caretaker and be like, "Hey, you need to check on this person. Their text messages to me have been seeming like they need someone to check on them," you know? But even when I respond to them, it's kind of like that. Like, I don't want to engage with it, but I also don't want them to be like alone in their delusions, you know? So I'm like,
totally.
I'm like, you know, trying to like be like, you're valid, but also like, you're wrong, you know?
Yeah.
But like, you can't say that. And so all you do is just say stuff like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I was at the gym, just saw your message."
Right.
know?
Or, "Oh, that's crazy. That sounds really difficult." Yeah, I've heard that too, that when you're dealing with somebody who's having delusions, you don't want to validate the delusions, but you also don't want them to make them feel like you're the enemy, you know, because that can quickly devolve into now you're the source of the delusions. Now, here's something absolutely insane. When I was reading these text messages by Amy Eskridge, I was thinking to myself, God, these sound exactly like I have a family member who suffers from some similar talking points that she does, has a diagnosis. Again, not going to dox this person, but I was talking to a different family member after I read this, and I was like, hey, let's just call this family member Bob, okay, because I don't have a family member named Bob. So I was like, hey, you know Bob, and Bob used to say that the government was blasting them with direct energy weaponry through a window. Like, how did this start? And I did not know this. That family member I was talking to, they were like, oh, it started while they were working at NASA's JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory. I did not even know that family member worked at Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
So now are you like, okay, maybe they're not crazy?
Or there's also a different option here, which is maybe they really were being blasted with direct energy weaponry that scrambled their brains.
Ooh.
So,
Yeah,
like, it's sort
I
of the
believe
middle
that.
ground of maybe, yes, they are suffering from some sort of mental health concern, but also at the root of it, they were correct that this weaponry exists and is used and is weaponized against people, and it does cause you to deteriorate mentally. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Now, this is the very last death associated with this cohort of missing, murdered, and deceased scientists and military personnel, and that is Matthew James Sullivan. He was just 39 years old when he died. He is a former Air Force intelligence officer who died on May 12, 2024 in Falls Church, Virginia. No cause of death was made public, but it was heavily insinuated that he committed suicide. He had reportedly been expected to testify in a federal whistleblower case about UFOs. And just a few days prior to testifying is when he was found deceased. So, looking at all of these cases, a pattern starts to emerge. Most of these people have ties to the Department of Defense or the aerospace industry through employers like NASA, JPL, and various defense contractors. Most of these people also seem to have nuclear power adjacent work or work in the development of alternate energy sources, such as anti-gravity, or they have some sort of connection to UFOs, like in the case of Matthew Sullivan and Neil McCasland. And finally, most of these people are dying prematurely, whether by suicide, accident, or murder. There are also some curious geographical patterns that emerge when we start to look at these cases a little bit closer. First, there seems to be a cluster around JPL, which is in Southern California, with Hicks, Maiwald, Reza, and Grillmair all having connections. Second, there seems to be a cluster in New Mexico with McCasland, Casias, Garcia, and Chavez. And third, there seems to be a UAP cluster with McCasland, Eskridge, Sullivan, and LeBlanc. By the way, none of these cases were being investigated until General McCasland went missing. He is so important to the government that finally an FBI probe is underway. Now, if we think the U.S. government is involved, that might not mean anything, but it is interesting that finally the FBI seems to be getting involved.
Yeah, all seems very fishy. And a bunch of the comments on like videos you were showing me were people saying that the government had tools that would make people like unalive themselves. They were calling them self-delete rays.
Very interesting at the least. It could be a coincidence. And in fact, that's what Donald Trump said when he was questioned recently by reporters. He said that he thinks it's likely a coincidence, but he's glad that the FBI is on the case, which I thought was weird because who's the number one conspiracy theorist?
Yeah. I was like,
in our
Donald, you're
country?
really not going to give us a soundbite? That's crazy. What are you talking about? This is your opportunity to shine right here. That seems weird.
That does seem weird. But would you be surprised to know that this type of mass targeting of scientists has happened before?
Honestly, no.
Yeah, after Epstein, none of this hits the same. It's just like, yeah, that makes sense. That checks out. Totally. Being a responsible adult is so time-consuming. You've got to cook nutritious food, take care of your hair and skin, show up to work on time, resist the urge to stare up into the night sky praying for aliens to abduct you, fix the air conditioning in your truck when it breaks like I have not yet done and it's been like 4 months and I'm sweating every single day that I drive. And worst of all, you have to replace your glasses. You've got to schedule an appointment, pay a fortune, and then wait. But today's sponsor, ZENNI Optical, fixes all of that. They may not be able to tell your coworker Janice to fuck off and stop asking for the TPS reports, but they do tell Big Eyeglass to fuck off with those ridiculous prices. Last time I got new glasses, it was well over $400. But with ZENNI, it was under $30. Plus, it was so easy. ZENNI is an online eyewear shop. Prescription glasses, sunglasses, blue light lenses, all starting at under $30. Just go to zenni.com, pick a frame, upload your prescription, and they ship it straight to your door with no appointment, no storefront, and no upsell at the counter. My fiance is blind in one eye and legally blind in the other, and is very picky about his glasses. So when I sent him ZENNI's website and told him I'd buy him any pair he wanted, he was skeptical because I always have a lot of really bad ideas. But once he saw how many frames there were to choose from and how affordable they were, he got so excited picking out a couple of new pairs. Every time I see him wearing one now, I feel proud of myself. Sometimes I do have good ideas. So if your glasses are overdue for a refresh, now is the time. Go to zenni.com/podcast and use code podcast15 for 15% off your first order. The styles sell out, so don't sit on it. That's zenni.com/podcast, promo code podcast15. Part 3. History repeats itself. This has actually happened before in several other countries. The first country that this has happened in is Iran, and this is one of the clearest, best documented examples of scientists being deliberately targeted, particularly in connection with nuclear programs. Beginning in the late 2000s, a series of assassinations and attempted killings struck Iranian nuclear researchers, often in highly coordinated attacks. Scientists were shot by motorcycle-riding gunmen, killed by magnetic bombs attached to their cars, or targeted in drive-by shootings. One widely reported case was the 2011 killing of Darlush Rezanejad, who was shot multiple times outside his home in Tehran in front of his wife and child. Between roughly 2010 and 2012, several similar incidents occurred in quick succession. The most high-profile assassination came in 2020 when Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, widely described as the architect of Iran's nuclear weapons research, was killed in a sophisticated ambush near Tehran.
The country's defense ministry has just confirmed that one of Iran's top nuclear scientists is dead, apparently assassinated.
The state media, the defense ministry here, is reporting that one of Iran's very, very top nuclear scientists, one of the leading figures in Iran's nuclear program and missile program, was assassinated several hours ago. Apparently, he was on a family vacation in the north of Iran while he was traveling back towards Tehran. The reports that are coming out are saying that there was a truck in front of him which exploded, and then armed men descended on his car and shot him. The foreign minister, Javad Zarif, says that this bears all the hallmarks of an Israeli operation. I mean, this is a scenario we've seen again and again. I remember in 2012, before Iran embarked on the nuclear talks with then President Obama, there was a string of assassinations in Iran of nuclear scientists. Iran took it very seriously. At that time, they also blamed Israel, as if tensions weren't high enough between these two countries. This is going to make it a lot worse. Within Iranian circles, this man was very important.
The Iranian government has alleged that Mohsen's killing is part of a broader campaign designed to slow or sabotage their nuclear ambitions. More recently, the pattern has extended beyond covert assassinations to overt military operations. In 2025, multiple Iranian nuclear scientists were reportedly killed during coordinated airstrikes on nuclear facilities alongside senior military officials. Across these decades, the consistent thread is clear. Unlike the ambiguous and debated clusters seen in other countries, Iran represents a rare case where the targeting of scientists is widely acknowledged globally as part of an ongoing conspiracy, which proves that this sort of thing does happen. But Iran is not the only country where this has happened. Recently, reporting suggests that the same sort of scientific targeting may also be happening in China. Multiple news outlets have noted over the past few years that around 9 Chinese researchers working in sensitive fields involving artificial intelligence, hypersonic technology, aerospace, and defense have died suddenly, often under mysterious circumstances. The most popular case is that of Feng Yange, a military AI scientist who died in a late-night car crash in 2023. He apparently was leaving a, quote, important work meeting at 2:35 in the morning when he suddenly veered off the road. Details on what exactly happened have never been released, but his obituary, which was written by his family, included several strange phrases, including saying that he, quote, died in the line of duty and that he, quote, was sacrificed while performing a major task. According to reporting by Newsweek, Yange was also buried in a special cemetery in Beijing that's reserved for state heroes and revolutionary martyrs. The investigation into these deaths in China is still ongoing, and more information is coming out each day. So as of yet, we do not yet know if these deaths are simply a coincidence, a product of high-stress work culture, or something more sinister.
In China, several scientists have been dying in strange circumstances, sudden illnesses, car crashes, suicides, with their work connected to things like military AI, drones, and even Taiwan invasion scenarios. In one scientist obituary on a state-run website, it reportedly described his death as a sacrifice. China is typically tight-lipped about national security, government, and of course they control the media there. And so far, there is no proof linking these Chinese and U.S. cases. Back at home, the FBI and Congress are looking into a string of disappearances and deaths of scientists and government workers, many who had security clearances and access to defense, nuclear, and space secrets.
But we can also point to something that we know the United States did in the past with Operation Paperclip. Natalia, do you know what Operation Paperclip was?
No, I don't think so.
You're going to know what I'm talking about after I jog your memory. This happened after the Nazis were defeated during World War II, when the U.S. government saw an opportunity. Some of the members of the Nazi Party were accomplished scientists. So, rather than send these scientists to trial for being Nazis, the government actually ended up recruiting about 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians, welcoming them to America. The idea was that we could use their knowledge to further our own interests. Operation Paperclip was considered a huge success, and many of these scientists directly contributed to advancements in fields like rocketry, aerospace, medicine, weapons development, and even early space exploration efforts. To facilitate this, U.S. authorities often downplayed or entirely concealed who these individuals were. And some of these individuals were even given entirely new identities that were never unraveled. And many people see that there could be a parallel between this known U.S. operation and what might be happening now. Is it possible that a foreign government is taking some of these missing scientists to go work for them? We don't have too much time to think about it because there's another example that comes out of the United Kingdom that also seems to have parallels. Natalia, have you ever heard of something called the Marconi mystery?
No.
This is an old conspiracy theory from the United Kingdom in the 1980s. According to Wikipedia, there was a strange cluster of deaths involving roughly 25 British scientists and engineers between 1982 and 1990, many of whom worked for the exact same defense contractor, which was called GEC Marconi. Many of these scientists died under strange circumstances, including fiery car crashes, poisonings, and even apparent suicides, despite these people telling their families that they would never kill themselves.
David Sands, a married man aged 37 and recently returned from holiday, had stacked 10 gallons of petrol in the boot of his Maestro car. He then drove it at more than 80 miles per hour into a disused roadside cafe near Basingstoke. Colleagues and families say he had been depressed, and police are working on the theory that he deliberately crashed the car. Sands was said to be a brilliant scientist and had just finished a 3-year contract working on top-secret radar systems. It's the latest incident involving scientists working for the Marconi Group. Last year, Vimal Dajibai from Kenton and Ashad Sharif from East London were found dead near Bristol. Families say they don't believe it was suicide. Then in January, Avtar Singh Gida disappeared near Loughborough University, where he was working on a similar defence project.
The basic elements of what we know do add up, I agree, to very much like the plot of a television thriller. That surely entitles the public to know what is going on and what has happened to these people.
An official inquiry will now be launched by the Marconi Group into the latest death, and the government is expected to make a statement later this week.
Although the government officially ruled the death cluster was just a coincidence, the UK media and public at the time believed that the scientists had all been targeted by somebody. Finally, our last frequently cited cluster of scientist deaths occurred in Russia during the turbulent period following the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 1990s.
Good evening from Moscow, where St. Basil's remains a reminder of Russia's ancient past. Well, no one quite knows what to expect about this country's future tonight. The Soviet Union, as we have known it for most of the 20th century, is breaking up now. The plug has been pulled on the Communist Party. Prominent officials are committing suicide.
As state funding for scientific institutions collapsed, many researchers, particularly those involved in nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons programs, were left unpaid and vulnerable. During this time, several high-profile scientists either disappeared or died under unusual or violent circumstances, including shootings, suspicious accidents, and apparent suicides, despite those people telling their families that they would never kill themselves. Some of these suspicious deaths were thought to have been carried out by Russian politicians who were worried that due to lack of pay, these scientists could be poached by other countries, such as in the case of Operation Paperclip. Natalia, what do you think of all of these examples of similar clusters throughout the world?
It seems very plausible. I'm also wondering with Operation Paperclip, though, like, how do you conceal somebody as a Nazi? Like, you're telling me, oh, hey, this is Hank. He's here from Wisconsin, and he's like, hello, very nice to meet you.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Is that the way you say it? That's a bingo.
You just say bingo.
You know, like, he sounds like a fucking Nazi cartoon, right?
Yeah. Well, I think, people living in Germany at the time were not just Nazis, right? There were also Jewish German individuals who were targeted. There were gay German individuals that were targeted. There were people There were people who escaped. I think they had such deep cover stories that you didn't even know that they were scientists. A lot of these people.
They weren't. Oh, okay. I get it.
Yeah.
I was about to say, like, if you're working, like, in the jet propulsion lab and your new coworker is, like, a super German brainiac man who says he's from Wisconsin, or I guess even Germany, I would still be like, okay, this is sus as hell.
Hey, do you want to know something even more sus?
What?
Guess where most of these people were relocated during Operation Paperclip?
Where?
Huntsville, Alabama. Exactly where Matthew Sullivan and Amy Eskridge met their end.
Oh my God. I just brought tears to my eyes because this whole time I was like, nah, don't say it. It's too unhinged. I was like, how do we know that, like, there's not a secret underground, like, German Nazi camp that's infiltrated the United States from, like, a leftover residue from Operation Paperclip? And I was like, don't say that. That's too crazy. Don't say it.
Is this all just psychosis, seeing patterns where there are none? Maybe. It's probable. It's possible. But also there's a lot of threads here and strings that are being connected that seem like it would be a very big coincidence. So now let's end the episode with our theories. Part 4, the theories. Theory number 1, foreign adversaries. Proponents of this theory point to the examples we just talked about involving similar cases to ours occurring throughout history in places like China, Russia, and Iran. We know that history repeats itself, and our world is changing rapidly, with advancements happening in areas like artificial intelligence and energy development. Wouldn't the most likely option then be that a foreign government also racing to develop this same technology is killing off our scientists so that they can develop it first? Or, in the case of the missing scientists, many wonder, is another nation carrying out their own version of Operation Paperclip? Kidnapping or bribing our own citizens to defect to foreign countries and turn over essential knowledge to help along their own top secret programs?
I kind of like it. I mean, I could see some of those individuals who went missing, going somewhere else, sending money back home, shell companies or whatever, then their families show up or something later, or maybe they go undercover. I don't know. That makes sense to me.
It could very well be. Now let's talk about theory number 2, which is the U.S. government is interfering. Proponents of this theory claim that the scientists who are being targeted may have been planning to go to the media about something the government is trying to keep hidden. With the example of Neil McCasland, we know that when WikiLeaks hacked Podesta's emails, there was information that McCasland was leaking top secret info about Roswell to Blink-182 singer and disclosure advocate Tom DeLonge. We also know that Matthew Sullivan allegedly died just days before he was set to testify in front of Congress about UFOs. Could these other scientists, defense contractor employees, and military insiders on our list have been planning to do similar things behind the scenes? If so, maybe it is our own government that has been targeting them to keep these secrets quiet. A maybe slightly less sinister view of this theory suggests that, at least in the case of the missing scientists, maybe our own government is kidnapping our best and brightest in order to force them to carry out some sort of top secret research away from the public eye. This may explain the similarities in some of the cases. Maybe the government reached out to these missing scientists and told them to leave their phones, bring their guns, and meet at a car or some sort of drop point that would then take them to a safe house or a secret underground laboratory, similar to what might happen when someone enters witness protection.
This one I don't favor as much because I'm like, it calls more attention to your project to have all of these people go missing rather than just to be like, hey, instead of going to the main office for work now, you're actually going to be going to a different location that's top secret.
Maybe they were worried that eventually a foreign power would find out what these people were doing. And so we have intelligence that Iran's going to come because they're mad that we started a war with them and bombed them. So they're going to come and send spies to do something to you. So preemptively, we're going to just have you all at a secret underground facility at Area 51 where Bob Lazar used to work. And we're just going to keep you there until we crack the anti-gravity UFO code. I don't know, but we don't have time to dwell on that either because we've got to move on to theory number 3, which is alien interference. And for this one, we've got kind of a random pop culture connection. Nat, do you know who Eddie Vedder is?
Yeah, is he like the lead singer from like an 80s rock band?
He's the lead singer of Pearl Jam.
So boring.
The way he relates to this story is he has publicly claimed that once while he was having drinks at a party with President Obama, they were sitting around a fire pit late at night, chit-chatting about the state of the world. Vedder claims that he was pressing Obama harder and harder throughout the night to tell him what he knows about aliens, when finally Obama got exasperated and said to him, "Read The Three-Body Problem," before refusing to say anything else. Natalia, do you know what the three-body problem is?
I thought it was a TV show.
It is a TV show, but it started as a science fiction novel by Chinese scientist Liu Cixin. And it tells the story of an alien civilization searching for a new planet to inhabit after their old one was destroyed. It was more recently turned into a Netflix series, so if you're currently watching it and don't want a very mild spoiler, please pause now and skip ahead to the timestamp in the show notes for the next theory. Basically, and I don't think this gives too much away, in both the novel and the show version of Three-Body Problem, there is a cluster of scientists around the world that are all studying the same thing who start dying mysterious deaths. What these scientists have in common is that they're all working on technology that would prevent the aliens from being able to take over Earth. Though, of course, the scientists don't know it yet. The aliens, who are still traveling on their spaceship to Earth, are able to send out a probe that targets these scientists and murders them in weird ways so that hopefully the technology that can stop them from arriving to Earth won't ever be developed.
Unless you figure out a way to disarm us, to keep us from moving forward. Have you?
Yes. We are going to kill your science.
So, back to Eddie Vedder. He claims that Obama told him, "Read The Three-Body Problem," when Vedder was begging him to reveal what he knows about aliens. This has led some to believe that rather than foreign or domestic government agencies targeting our nation's scientists, aliens might be to blame. What do you think of that one?
If Obama says that to you at a party, I would be going off the deep end.
Yeah, well, and then skeptics say, look, it's Eddie Vedder. He's like a womanizer, former alcoholic, who has lived a wild rock star lifestyle. can we really trust what he's saying? Or maybe Obama was fucking with him and was just like, hey man, go watch this Netflix show. You're not going to get any info out of me.
You would like it. Yeah, you would like this show.
Who knows? But it's a fun theory because that's not the first time I've heard that 3-body problem is quote unquote soft disclosure, like it's warming the public up for a real thing that's eventually going to be told to us. But that's not where the theories end. Theory number 4, psychotropic weaponry. Believers in this theory point to Amy Eskridge's text messages with former work colleagues. In her text, she claims that someone from the government or a defense contractor has been using a weapon on her to keep her quiet and make her sick. As proof, she sent photos of unexplained damage to windows, weird discolorations and rashes on her body appearing out of nowhere. She even comments about weird memory issues that she's having. And many have noticed that these symptoms seem to line up with what has now come to be known as Havana syndrome. And this topic needs its own episode, but basically, starting in 2016, U.S. and Canadian government officials and their families who were stationed in various overseas countries, including Havana, Cuba, which is where the name of this disease comes from, began reporting experiencing weird symptoms. In all of these cases, the victims first heard a weird noise that they couldn't quite make sense of. After hearing the noise, they began to experience symptoms that included balance problems, memory problems, dizziness, insomnia, and headaches. Does any of this sound familiar? Some of this overlaps with General McCasland and what he was reporting to his wife. These reports of Havana syndrome became so widespread that 60 Minutes even had a whole hour-long special on it where they interviewed as many victims as were willing to come forward, and the reports were deemed so credible that both the Canadian and the U.S. governments have carried out studies into these illnesses. Although no formal conclusions have been reached, at least publicly, about what causes Havana syndrome, the U.S. has a monetary fund set aside to assist people who have it. They didn't even fucking do that for 9/11, okay? How many hearings did we have to get the U.S. to pay people who came down with cancer, who were first responders to 9/11? But yet, quietly, they have set aside a monetary fund for people who have this disease that's not even formally recognized by anybody, known as Havana syndrome. It seems a little strange, right? The main theory is that a foreign government has been using directed energy weapons, or DEWs, which is exactly what Amy Eskridge talks about in her text messages, or some other psychotronic weapon to target important government officials who are abroad conducting business in the interest of their government. So, could it be possible that this exact same thing is happening here on U.S. soil? It could explain some of the strange text messages made by Amy Eskridge, where she reports having some strange symptoms. And it may also explain mental disturbances that could lead to individuals engaging in risk-taking behaviors they wouldn't normally engage in, such as driving unsafely at night, leaving home without a cell phone while carrying a gun, crashing your car, driving erratically, or even carrying out your own suicide if you really were that distressed and in that much pain.
I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think if you're not sleeping like that, I think that can really play tricks with you. I like that one better than some of the other ones.
Well, there's 2 more, and I'm going to read them back to back because this next one is short. Theory number 5 is that MK Ultra is continuing. For those who don't know, we have an entire episode about MK Ultra that I'll have linked in the show notes below. But basically, it was a top secret CIA program where unsuspecting victims were dosed with different drugs in an attempt to find, quote, truth serums and, quote, mind control tonics that could be weaponized in espionage. The program lasted from 1953 to 1957, but we also know there was a version of MK Ultra happening before that. So, proponents of this theory say, what if MK Ultra is continuing just under a different name? For those who don't know, some of the most famous people associated with MK Ultra allegedly are thought to be people like Marilyn Monroe, who may or may not have killed herself or could have been targeted by the government. Also, the Unabomber was a former MK Ultra victim. And there's a lot of strange connections with Charles Manson, which Natalia talked about on a previous episode. Yeah. So it's possible that some of these people are being experimented on, but maybe not with a high energy weapon or a psychotronic weapon, but maybe with some sort of chemical compound that's being slipped to them, and again, making people behave erratically. And then that brings us to theory number 6, which is, come on guys, it's just a coincidence. Proponents of this theory say that the simplest explanation is often the correct one. This is me with my fedora. Year after year, the industries with the highest suicide and death rates are always blue collar, with farmers, construction workers, miners, and oil rig workers always at the top. However, amongst white-collar jobs, scientists and doctors are always near the top of the list. The theories for why this is include the fact that these are high-stress, competitive jobs where simple mistakes have severe consequences. For example, with doctors, patients' lives are literally in your hands every single day. One false move could result in ending someone's life. In the case of scientists, many of them only get to keep their job if they deliver results. If a project you're working on gets its funding cut because you haven't been able to prove your hypothesis, you can quickly find yourself unemployed, or worse, a laughingstock. Other skeptics point to the fact that scientists are exposed to chemicals, radiation, and other conditions that the general public would not be exposed to. These can lead to chronic illness, cancer, and other mental and physical conditions that lead to premature death. And those are all of the theories surrounding what might be happening here with this cluster that seems to be occurring of scientists, engineers, and people who just work in these industries going missing or showing up murdered or deceased in recent years. Natalia, that's my story. What do you think of this episode?
Fantastic episode. Probably my favorite episode of the year now. I think this is going to be the favorite of the year. Wild. Just a wild episode. I don't know. You know, I was thinking like maybe scientists in general are just like kind of like skeptical and closer to just being suicidal. Is that fucked? I dated a scientist, guys. He also had some erratic behavior. I have a type, guys. All right. I like intense situations. Okay. And yeah, so I'm just wondering if that's part of it, but I don't know. Like, I think it's too weird because I also have a lot of people in my life, unfortunately, that have passed by taking their own lives. And in none of those situations did they leave their phones at home and go with a gun off somewhere. In every single one of those situations, they did not do that. You know, it wasn't like, yeah. So I think that there's something else going on here. Maybe a few of those actually were, you know, psychosis or suicide or something like that. But, or maybe, you know, I don't know. It just feels fishy. The theory that I like is that it's a private entity or a mercenary that's been hired by some other entity.
A private company, a defense contractor.
Yeah. Who is snatching these people up.
He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up.
Now, I don't know if they're trying to get information from them or if they're being like, hey, join the dark side, or if they're being like, we'll wire $2 million into your, you know, offshore bank account or cash if you will just like leave this life behind or whatever. But I feel like it's just weird. It's just too weird.
It's super weird. And that's why at the beginning I said, I don't really know what conclusion to come to by the end of this, because it seems very scary to imagine this not being a coincidence. However, when you look at globally what happens to scientists around the world, it seems like these clusters really do happen. And it usually happens when there's a country on the precipice of some major breakthrough. Like in the case of Iran, a big major sticking point for the U.S. government is the U.S. government does not want Iran to have nuclear weapons. So what do? Knowing that seems to be true, right? That particular cluster seems like one that has been flagged as being likely to be true. Then wouldn't there also be entities or countries that are doing that to other countries? You know what I'm saying? Like whether you're kidnapping people or offering them a new life like we did with Project Paperclip, Operation Paperclip, or if you're killing people because you think they're going to defect, like allegedly Russia did when the Soviet Union fell and their scientists weren't getting paid and they were afraid they were going to be poached by other countries, so they just murdered their scientists, allegedly. Or if you think that a different government is targeting people, like in the case of China, where these Chinese scientists seem to be dying unusual deaths. I don't know. It just seems like it does happen.
My brain just is spinning off the rails. You know, yeah. I'm thinking I don't know what I'm thinking, dude. But you were talking about Iran and how they're building these nuclear weapons or whatever. And my husband and I were like joking the other day where he was like, dude, literally the most recent Mission Impossible movie was exactly what happened like a year ago or whatever in Iran, where like we sent in fucking fighter pilots to drop bombs on like very specific targets that were making weapons. And it was literally the plot of the most recent Mission Impossible, like to the T. And then I started spinning off the rails and I was like, well, shit, you know, if it is soft disclosure and the CIA or whomever is involved in Hollywood, Tom Cruise is famously super into Scientology. Like, is it all connected? I don't know. I could never say that. But
yeah. I don't know either.
Wonder.
And it's probably worth mentioning that a lot of people think that that's not the reason for the most recent invasion of Iran, that it was probably just about oil or something else. And I don't know, guys. Focusing on just the scientist thing seems weird. Seems like probably not a coincidence there, but I don't know. And the China one is ongoing too right now. So not only is the U.S. currently having this problem, but so is China.
I mean, maybe the U.S. is capable of it. I don't see why not. I feel like they should be better at hiding it, though, you know? But I don't know. It's baffling. At what point are we like, no, this has to be a thing? Like right now it's like 8 missing, maybe 9-ish missing. When it gets to be like 30, then are we like, okay, it's not a coincidence?
Well, like I said, so there's 5 missing currently. Some of the stuff I was looking at places the number of deceased individuals in recent years that are connected up to like 20 plus. And I think I only covered like 13 or something today, which is still an insane amount. But every day the list grows longer. So by the time this comes out, I'm sure there's going to be an update where like 12 more people get added to the list. And like I said, unfortunately, because of everything that went down with Epstein, we're also desensitized that even if the FBI came out and was like, oh, we solved it, it was actually JPL killing their own people, or, oh, it was actually China, oh, those darn members of the CCP, or, you know, whatever. It's like, we're not going to believe it. Why would we believe it? They didn't arrest Epstein, and they knew about him since what? Like the early 2000s? They knew for like 25 years he was out there doing horrific things, and nothing happened. So,
because they were just using him like for surveillance, I guess, to like extort other people, collect information.
It's a wild, wild time to be alive. I'm just putting this information out into the universe, and I'm gonna lock it away, to quote 30 Rock, in my mind vice, and I'm gonna crush it, and I'm not gonna think about it again because it's too much. It's too much. Natalia, would you like to do our sign-off for this week's episode?
BRB, gotta go get drinks with President Obama and talk about the aliens.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, hi. Are you here for the seance? Take a seat. Take a seat. No, you're just in time. Clear your mind and gaze into the crystal ball. Do you hear that? I think someone's trying to communicate with us. Yes, it's the annual Haunties. Hurry, meditate harder so their voices can get stronger.
JQ.
Dylan.
Heidi.
Joe M.
This is Chloe Z. Luxury guinea pigs.
Nicole without the H.
Ruby V, aka regular size Ruby.
Hi, it's VR.
Z Duke.
Zoe L.
Spooky Sam.
At Fredo. Allegedly Emily. Abby T. Abre S. Aubrey S. Al F. Elena B. Alyssa B. Amanda. Annie H. Ani H. Anita M. Ari. Ariel M. Ariel G. Barb I. Betty T. Blair. Blood Partisan. Bonnie B. Brian J. Bree P. Callie. Carolyn R. Caroline R. Cassie R. Chaotic Nix. Chelsea O. Chloe L. Chloe Z. Chris B. Cosmic Squid. Daffa. D. Bowman's 46. Deborah W. Dorothy. Dylan D. Ephraim P. El Gigante Singulario Magnificocho. Elizabeth M. Ellie J. Emily C. Emily W. Emmy J. Erica B. Esther. Evelyn C. Fair Winds and Following Seas. Gabrielle W. Greg A. Hannah Mac M. Hannah M. Heidi. Jackie Ginger. James H. Jasmine M. Jello Riley. Jennifer P. Jessica. Jessica P. Jessica W. Joey and Jesse. Jody G. Joe M. Joey H. J. Q. Jules the Ghoul. Julissa D. Kate Kate. Catherine P. Katie D.S. Katie R. Kelsey M. Kevin T. Kiara like Shakira. Kira like Shakira. Kimberly F. Corey with a K. Laura C. Lily J. Lost Soul 27. Lupe. Luxury Guinea Pigs. Malik. Marty B. Maria S. Marie O. Marissa G. Mary Grace. Mary Lisbetha. Maddie C. Meg T. Megan L. Megan S. Mel M. Melissa W. Mia Z. Michael. Michael R. Michelle H. Mike S. Mikey BDX7. Miss Natty Cat. Nathan M. Nizumi Neko. Nicole without the H. Omar M. Perry I. Rachel. Rachel P. Rake. Ricky, aka 1017, aka Eat Your Vegetables. Ruby V. Ryan G. Sam L. Samantha W. Sarah. Sarah C. Sarah R. Shark Michael. Sean. Shelby E. Shelly. Soleil. Spooky Gal Kel. Sunny. Tara Lee. Tatiana. Tazwar K. Tiffany S. Uber A. Erd Ferguson. Valerie B. Vera K. Vera K. William A. Wolf Warrior 111. Z-Duck and Zoe L. Thank you so much to our 2026 annual Haunties. If you've made it this far in the closing credits and you're curious about how you too can become an annual Hauntee, unfortunately, our subscriptions are closed. However, our annual subscriptions for both Tier 1 and Tier 2 reopen every year in January 1st through February 28th. So stay tuned because it'll be here before you know it. And now it's time for your secret password. You will comment the secret password at Let's Get Haunted on Instagram on the photo dump for this week's episode. And you'll also comment it here in the Spotify comments. Your secret password of the week is Eddie Vedder is an alien. See you guys next week. Bye.